Good morning to you, friend. Welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation. Thank you for coming by today and joining me. I am enjoying a great cup of coffee this morning. I am enjoying a cup of coffee from my friend Mike's Joe. Mike Sullivan from Thailand roasted this coffee and gave it to me when I was in Canada the other day. And the flavor notes are burnt asphalt, rusty nails, and old machine oil. So if you want to know what rusty nails, burnt asphalt, and old machine oil taste like, get a hold of some Mike's Joe. It's tremendous coffee. Probably one of the smoothest cups of coffee that I've had in an awfully long time. Thank you, Brother Michael, and I appreciate Michael Sullivan and what he's doing there in Thailand for the Lord. Appreciate his dad and the church there at the Pembina Valley Baptist Church there in Winkler, Manitoba, Canada. Well, let's talk today about a unique verse of Scripture. This verse of Scripture is found in the book of 2 Corinthians and chapter number 2 and verse number 10. Here's what Paul said. He said, "To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgive anything, to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of Christ." Here's what Paul said. If you have decided to forgive someone, then I have decided to forgive them for Christ's sake as well. Most of the scholars in regard to 2 Corinthians chapter 2 believe that they're speaking specifically about the young man from 1 Corinthians chapter number 5 who had been committing immoral acts with his father's wife. And so Paul wrote to them in chapter 5 that they needed to get that mess out of the church and to deliver that young man to Satan for the destruction of his flesh, that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. Well, it seems as if, by way of the scholarly studies of others, that young man did exactly that. And so the Apostle Paul is now looking at the church saying, you forgave him, and I think I can too. I'll choose to forgive him for Christ's sake because the church has chosen to forgive him. The story was given about Standard Oil Company. Now, of course, John D. Rockefeller made Standard Oil just a household name in his day, and it became a corporation that was very, very, very wealthy. He came to a realization one day that one of his executives had made a decision that had cost Standard Oil $2 million. Now consider the time in which we're speaking of in regard to Standard Oil's operation and when it was in business. And you'll find that that $2 million was a big, 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 big sum of money. Well, it was a big deal in the company, and Rockefeller was in his office, and another one of the top executives came into his office. As he walked in, Rockefeller was musing over a piece of paper that lay in front of him. The executive said to John D. Rockefeller, he said, I suppose that you're very, very well aware of what our friend has done. To which Rockefeller lifted his head from his paper, dropped his glasses, and said this. He said, well, I have been sitting here listing all of our friend's good qualities, and I have discovered that in the past he has earned us many times the amount he lost today. His good points far outweigh this one human error. So I think that we ought to forgive him, don't you? Imagine that, if you would. Imagine a businessman with enough forethought of mind to look at a bad situation and get the good out of it for the sake of forgiveness. This little story comes out of Dale Galloway's book on You Can Win with Love. You'll never forgive anyone, church or otherwise. You'll never forgive anyone until you come to the place and point of genuinely loving the way Christ does. Hey, think on these things today, my dearly beloved. Have yourself a grand cup of coffee and an even grander day.